What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be a follow-up from my last video where I talked about my experience with having blood clots in both lungs in April of last year. And I believe I filmed that video, I want to say it was like late May or early June. And I mentioned in that video that I was going to do a follow-up at some point, and I never really got around to it. So unfortunately it is coming a little bit later than I expected, but I'm here now. So let's talk about it. I just want to say before we get started, I apologize. My face is like really red right now. It is super warm in my apartment. It's been in the negatives here for like, I don't know, on and off for a few weeks. And then all of a sudden today it's like 57 degrees. And so I obviously do not have the AC on in my apartment. So it is very warm, and I normally have the fan on, but I can't film with the fan on because otherwise you won't even be able to hear me talk. It's pretty loud. So my face is like really flushed, but that's why. I promise there's like nothing going on. Because I think in my last video, my cheeks were kind of rosy then too. That was from being sick. But yeah, it's hot in here. So I apologize if you're like, why does she still look sick? I promise I'm not sick anymore. But yeah, that is why. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the update about the blood clots that I had. Like I said, that were in both lungs. It came seemingly like out of nowhere last year. Last February, I want to say it was like February, March-ish. I did have the flu and I believe COVID as well. And I don't know if that played a role, but I think it was, in my opinion, just kind of like a bunch of factors that kind of all played in at once, which then led to blood clots. I mentioned in my last video that they were testing me for a genetic condition, which would make me more prone to clotting. And I do have the results of that. I have some things printed out here that I'm going to read to you guys and just kind of let you know. But overall, I just want to say, you know, if you don't want to hear all the nitty gritty, but I am doing a lot better. I still do have days where there's some soreness, like kind of in the bottom of my lungs. Sometimes when I'm at the gym, I just kind of get just like a little like achy kind of tenderness. And my lung doctor said that is normal. And also the hematologist both said that's normal. It takes a long time for your lungs to heal from that, you know. I had a lot of clots in both lungs. From my understanding, the right lung had a bunch of like small clots. The left lung had one big clot in the main pulmonary artery, is what the results said. And then I guess there was a few smaller ones in the left lung. And then also in my lower left lung, I had a pulmonary infarction. Not infection, infarction, which I guess is when a very small piece of my lung basically died from lack of oxygen. They said it was 4.7 centimeters. That was what was causing the extreme pain that I had, which ultimately was what led me to go to the emergency room that day. So that was what was causing that. So anyway, overall, yeah, I haven't had any like reoccurrences of the clots or anything like that. I still take the Eliquis twice a day, and I will continue on with that until my follow-up with the hematologist later this year. So that's kind of where that's at. I haven't had any side effects with the Eliquis. I haven't even really noticed much like increased bleeding, and he did say that's normal. Like some people just don't really notice it. Like little things, like if I'm shaving my legs and I get like a little tiny little cut, or like if I'm playing with my cat and sometimes he'll like scratch my hand or my arm. It's not really any more blood than it ever was before, so that's good. The other thing was, I think I mentioned in my previous video that I was on a birth control that did contain estrogen prior to the blood clots, or like at the same time that the blood clots happened. So I did have to switch to one that does not contain estrogen, and I was on it for PCOS. So that's kind of hard, like switching, you know, from having something with estrogen to have something that doesn't have estrogen. But I think now it's been however many months, almost a year, and it seems like my body has kind of adjusted pretty well. I mean, there's certain like small little, I guess, like side effects, but overall nothing crazy, nothing too like unmanageable. So that's that. But yeah, so like I said, they did do the testing for any kind of like genetic conditions, I guess, or anything like that. So I do have that, and I'm going to read it to you. And I just want to say before I begin, if I pronounce something wrong or if I like totally screw up, I promise it's not because I'm illiterate. It is because I don't know anything about this stuff. I only know what they briefly told me and whatever was in my medical chart that I was able to read, you know, on the internet for myself. So yeah, my background is not anything medical. My background is in fitness and personal training and engineering. So if I mispronounce some of these words, don't come for me. Okay, do not come for me. So basically, the blood work did come back as positive, I guess, or like abnormal, I guess is how it shows up on the like chart or whatever, which basically means positive, for something called prothrombin G20210A. And basically, this is off of Google, it says it is an inherited genetic condition causing the body to produce excessive prothrombin, a protein essential for blood clotting. So basically it just makes me more common, like, or more, not more common, more likely to get blood clots, I guess. So I guess that played a factor in that. And then I also have a printout. These were some of the results of the blood work that was at the time when I was in the hospital with the blood clots. I just thought it was interesting because I didn't know what any of this stuff meant. They did so many tests, so much blood work. They took, like, it was a lot. But yeah, so this was, like I said, April of last year, 2025. So one of the results specifically was a high factor X result, which indicates an increased capacity for blood clotting. Again, I don't know what any of that means, but I guess that was playing a factor in that too, as well as the antithrombin 3 result came back low, which means, according to Google, you have less of this protein, which normally prevents excessive blood clotting, which increases your risk for dangerous clots such as deep vein thrombosis or pulmonary embolism, which is what I had, pulmonary embolism. It says it could be inherited or it could be acquired. So I don't know which one mine was, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Like, yeah, I mean, like I said, we don't really know exactly the exact cause. I don't know if it's from, in my opinion, probably just the combination of everything, the, you know, estrogen birth control, this genetic condition, being sick with the flu. I was sick for like almost a month and was just like in bed almost the whole entire time, other than like getting up to shower, use the bathroom, get some water, and then like straight back into bed. So I'm sure like being essentially like bedridden almost for almost a month did not help the situation. And in my opinion, I think it was just probably a perfect storm of everything, which then resulted in these blood clots. But yeah, so like I said, I had a few follow-up appointments since I had filmed that last video, but like I said, everything pretty much came back normal. I did have two separate like follow-up CT scans. One was with contrast, one was without contrast. Both of them came back normal. They didn't see anything, so that's good. They said like my heart was not in any kind of distress or anything like that. And like I said, they pretty much just said that the pain and kind of achiness is to be expected, and just kind of give it time, you know, wait for your lungs to keep healing, and, you know, just follow up, you know, stay with my appointments and just go from there. The only bad thing, not bad, I guess, but the only thing I have to be super cautious of with the Eliquis, especially now that it's winter, is being careful that I don't fall anywhere. They told me pretty much if you fall, you have to come straight to the ER because you could potentially have internal bleeding that you don't know about until it's too late. So it's been scary, like walking across the parking lot and, you know, like a solid sheet of ice on the ground, or, you know, like things like that. They didn't tell me that I can't do things like ice skating or things like that, but I'm thinking common sense is no, I can't do those things until I am eventually off of the Eliquis, if I ever go off of it. The hematologist said he doesn't think I'll be on it for life, but I guess we just have to kind of see how things progress and kind of see where we're at with my next checkup. But like I said, things like that, I'm just assuming are like a no-go at all. yeah, things like ice skating, things like probably like, you know, like sledding down a hill or whatever, like anything where you run the risk of falling, tumbling, getting cut, getting sliced, anything like that is like a no-go. So that's the only thing that kind of like, you know, kind of sucks. But other than that, like I said, I don't have any problem with the Eliquis. I've had no side effects. It's fine. Doesn't bother me. You have to take it twice a day. They were like, they did kind of warn me, like some people will forget to take it. I have not had a problem with that. You know, just taking it twice a day. I take it at noon and at midnight, and I don't have any issues, you know, no problems whatsoever with that. So yeah, that's basically pretty much the entire update. There hasn't been really anything else to tell you guys about. Like I said, I just didn't expect that this update would take this long to come, but it just, as you can see, I haven't even like filmed any other videos in between then and now. I just was kind of focused on healing and just focused on, you know, making sure that I get my health back together and, you know, recover from this, because it was like crazy, you know, unexpected and like a traumatic, you know, medical event to go through. I also have been focused on my health overall. I did lose almost 35 pounds since June of 2025. So that is exciting. And my doctor is really happy about that. Even though if you look at my channel, you will see I am a certified personal trainer. I also hold numerous other certifications as well in fitness. And yeah, it's something that, you know, I've always enjoyed fitness. I've always enjoyed going to the gym, but a few years ago I got sick with C. diff, and I have videos about all of this on my channel that you can go and watch if you're interested. But anyways, I was really sick with C. diff, and it was like a whole crazy ordeal. And so I did gain weight with that, and my weight kind of went like up and down a little bit, kind of up and down, up and down. And combined that with, you know, the stress of being sick, and with, you know, just not going to the gym, not working out like I used to, and even just little things like not being as active around the house. So yeah, that was kind of what, you know, what I was dealing with before. So I really made it my goal last summer to say, okay, I just need to get to the gym more, you know, eat better, you know, little things like, you know, if I have a slice of pizza, I don't necessarily have to have a soda with it. You know what I mean? Like things like that. Doing things like, you know, chicken salads and, you know, just little changes overall. And like I said, my doctor is very happy about that. So I don't know if you guys can tell just by seeing me on camera. I feel like on camera, I feel like I look the same, even though in person I can see a difference. So I don't know if you guys will be able to tell just by looking at me, but yeah, I am 4'11", so I'm very short, and 35 pounds is like a big deal for someone my height. So I still have probably like another maybe 20 or 25 that I want to lose, but yeah, so like I said, just been, you know, working on that, working on getting my health together overall, because I know that obesity can also be, you know, like a contributing factor as well for blood clots. So that is something that I want to avoid, and something that my doctors want to avoid as well. So yeah, I've been working on that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, everything else has been, you know, pretty much like no news is good news kind of thing. Like I said, just waiting until, you know, my next follow-up later this year with hematology, and just go from there and see what they say going forward. But yeah, hopefully this was just like a one and done situation. But they did warn me, like obviously I'll have to be careful in the future. With things like, you know, any kind of like long travel, like if I'm on an airplane, things like that, I have to be mindful of, you know, those kind of situations, because those can cause blood clots, you know, to come back. Things like surgeries, and even like, I mean, I don't plan on having any surgery anytime soon, but even like while I'm on the Eliquis, you know, you have to be mindful, warn all of your doctors, like, you know, hey, I'm on this medication, which does cause excessive bleeding. So anything like that, like dental work, all those kind of things, just to be mindful of that. But I haven't had any of that come up, so it hasn't been an issue. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the update. Like I said, I'm sorry it took so long to get it to you guys. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to report on, but if anything else changes or if anything else comes up, I will definitely keep you guys updated, because I do enjoy these little videos, just kind of keeping you guys updated on my health and like what's going on with like my day-to-day life. So yeah, that's pretty much it. yeah, everything else, like I said, is pretty much all good. I do have a cat. His name is Maddox. I mentioned him briefly, but he's good. He's good. He's 12 years old. He'll be 13 in June, and he still runs around the house just playing like a little kitten like he always does. But yeah, he's doing great. So he does have to get his teeth cleaned soon. So maybe, I don't know if you guys are interested in that. Maybe I can kind of film like, you know, the process of gearing up for that. He did have his teeth cleaned back in 2020. And, you know, I made sure that he had lots of like toys and treats and things when he got home from the vet. So maybe we can kind of film something like that if you guys are interested. But yeah, he's good, and everything else is fine. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys all being here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.